Hello, hello, hello. Greetings, greetings to all of you. We gather here today to honor and celebrate the life of Cathy Joyce Sachs. And even though daily life seems to be dominated by uncertainty, we can be certain about the spirit of the one Cathy Sachs, but especially her generosity of spirit. Cathy was kind. She was benevolent. She was forgiving. She was filled with goodness. And she had a deep faith in God. I do believe that Cathy is looking down upon us, and I have no doubt that she is smiling and is happy that we have all come together. But yet I also feel that she would rather be here amongst us simply for the joy of being around those of us that she cared about. So today we show our respect for our beloved Cathy, and we celebrate her life, a life that was filled with love for her family, love for her friends, but also for the charity and a profound lack of prejudice that Cathy showed to everyone she encountered in her life. So on behalf of Kevin and Cody and Cathy's mom, Betty, and for all the Sachs Monahan family, welcome. And please know that your presence is greatly appreciated. Let us pray. Dear God, we gather this morning to give you tribute and to cherish the life of Cathy Sachs. And God, you know you created a special person in Cathy, and all of us here know that too. And so we thank you, Lord, but it has to be said that we surely miss her. And God, we do believe that nothing can separate us from your love, but we are also particularly grateful that the gift of love given to Cathy is shared within all of us. So together, may we honor Cathy, may we celebrate her life, and most of all, may we recognize the variety of ways Cathy impacted each and every one of us here today. Amen.
And as the words come up on the screens, please sing along with me as if you know the song or as you become comfortable with it. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, your perfect love is casting out fear. And even when I'm caught in the middle of the storms of this life, I won't turn back, I know you are near. And I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. And if my God is with me, whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? We're singing, oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm, oh no, you never let go. In every high and every low, oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. And I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on, a glorious light beyond all compare. And there will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, will live to know you here on the earth, and I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. And if my God is with me, whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Singing, oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm, oh no, you never let go. In every high and every low, oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. You keep on loving and you never let go. Yes, we're singing, oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm, oh no, you never let go. In every high and every low, oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. Yes, I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. And there will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you, still I will praise you. Yes, I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. There will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you, still I will praise you. Yes, we're singing, oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm, oh no, you never let go. In every high and every low, oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. You keep on loving and you never let go. We're singing, oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm, oh no, you never let go. In every high and every low, oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. Lord, you never let go of me. Lord, you never let go of me.
Thank you, Randy. Here now a reading from Scripture, and you can follow along as it comes up on the screen. This is from James 1, verses 17 to 25, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation. Whatever is good and perfect is a gift coming down to us from God our Father, who created all the lights in the heavens. He never changes or casts a shifting shadow. He chose to give birth to us by giving us his true word. And we, out of all creation, became his prized possessions. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires. So get rid of all the filth and evil in your lives and humbly accept the word God has planted in your hearts, for it has the power to save your souls. But don't just listen to God's word. You must do what it says. Otherwise, you are only fooling yourselves. For if you listen to the word and don't obey, it is like glancing at your face in a mirror. You see yourself, walk away, and forget what you look like. But if you look carefully into the perfect law that sets you free And if you do what it says and don't forget what you heard, then God will bless you for doing it. Amen.
Give a little bit, give a little bit of your love to me. Give a little bit, give a little bit of my love to you. There's so much that we need to share, so send a smile and show you care. Give a little bit, I'll give a little bit of my life for you. So give a little bit, give a little bit of your time to me. See the man with the lonely eyes, oh, take his hand, you'll be surprised. Give a little bit, give a little bit of your love to me. Give a little bit, I'll give a little bit of my life to you. Now's the time that we need to share. Find yourself, we're on the way back home.
Thank you. That was beautiful. So, let me take you back to the 1980s, a time when the internet was still in diapers. No iPhone, no Google or Facebook. There happened to be, though, this young woman named Cathy Sachs. Did you know she was an early pioneer in the concept of social networking? You know that. You're not surprised. What is surprising is that Cathy didn't require some complex computer algorithm. Her approach was simple. She would meet you, she would get to know you, and before too long, she had all of your personal information, plus highlights of your life story. And once Cathy had all this information, she locked it up not only in her mind, but in her physical address book. I know people haven't seen those. But she was a good steward. She not only never forgot you, she would actually keep in regular contact. I can't begin to list the numerous people that she kept in touch with. In fact, I relied on her to keep me up to date. But she always knew who they were, where they were, what their current situation was, and it didn't matter what part of the planet they were on. Cathy was really a trailblazer in the ability to keep track of all of us. So this social networking phenom, she helped lay all the building blocks of an intentional community, which then developed a community outreach program for low-income children and youth in Oakland. And to make a long story short, back then, back in the 80s, word of mouth was the most reliable source of information. People trusted who they knew, who they talked to, who they saw on a daily basis. And so when this group of people moved into this part of Oakland, we were the newcomers. We were not to be trusted. And obviously, we were kind of like even almost suspect, so. But however, it didn't take long for a few of the neighbors to check us out. And then the word passed around. Hey, they're not the po-po, the police. They're just a bunch of do-gooders. And so we were welcomed. And the doors of the neighborhood started to crack open, and that played right into Cathy's wheelhouse. Cathy was relentless. She was relentless in both the outreach to the neighborhood, but also promoting our intentional community lifestyle and its urban mission of tackling issues such as poverty, drug abuse, crime, violence. And some of you might remember those Kodak slide projectors, where you carousel, and had to click manually for the slides to all around. So she helped develop one of those, a promotional slideshow like that with a handwritten narrative and all that. And she spent hours contacting churches, service clubs, civic groups to schedule these presentations. Her warmth and personality easily overcame those inevitable questions, though, of just how exactly she was living with all those single guys. But these presentations did pay off. We gained support and word spread that later led to Cathy and I actually being interviewed on a local religious TV show. And then later, as the community center, the neighborhood center started to develop, the Oakland office of the FBI gave us each community leadership awards. Cathy's energy and her keen social sensitivity undergirded all the foundational elements of the neighborhood center. And I could talk all day on that, really, even though you don't want that. But I will just point out a few of the highlights for me. First, and bear with me, but the almighty snack bar of the center. When Cathy first told me the center needs a snack bar, so it was done. And wow, the power of that thing was just incredible. Okay, it's just like Christmas. You know how a kid is when they're opening presents on Christmas morning? That's how the snack bar was every day in the center. And obviously the daily snacks were critical, but not before too long, we started to print actual snack bar coupons. That's where, just like cash. And the kids earn these coupons, one by being good, especially in the gym, but also for actually going to school, doing good in school. And so they were daily incentives for trying to do the right thing there. But the most sought after reward was being one of the snack bar workers. And back in those days, well, and it's actually almost still true today, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for little odd jobs to get a little money in your pocket for kids in the neighborhoods that we were dealing with. And oftentimes the only person that was provide any kind of job was the local drug dealer. And so to be a snack bar worker and to actually earn some money was just an incredible power as well as the incentive to do good in school. And I think Cathy saw the inkling, she understood that the benefits of this, something like that, not only that the snacks were good, but you're learning basic business skills and that you're earning money in a legitimate way. The other two highlights are highly related because it's all about the relationships. And one of the critical components was our small peer groups. And Cathy was the first to start a girls group. And it was, of course, based on mentoring, but it had an absolute code, a commitment to confidence. So it allowed these teenage girls to talk freely, to discuss the nitty-gritty details and often the harsh reality of the life that they were experiencing in, the rough streets of Oakland. And oftentimes, these open and frank dialogues, they would lead to possible solutions. But it was always based on the reality that actions have consequences. And additionally, Cathy would get, other volunteers and people to come in that had successful careers, different ways of looking at things, and to provide, an exposure to that, hey, life doesn't have to be just this certain way that I see on these streets. And so it reinforced staying in school and to look beyond their immediate life situations, but to do not only look beyond, but to actually envision what they need to do to get into a better life. And finally, Cathy's unique ability to cultivate personal relationships. I mean, building personal relationships, that was just Cathy's thing. And for her to really get to know the children, their families, their home situation was, and it still is, a critical component for the neighborhood center. And children, they know you can't fake it with them. Love and compassion cannot be faked. And Cathy was not only welcomed into many homes, she eventually became part of the family. She really became cousin, auntie, mama. Those are all real experiences that she's in. And I can only ask, is there a greater honor than that recognition? To be chosen, become part of a family. But Cathy also knew that earning that trust and respect was just part of a much longer road. Cathy understood that to help someone does not mean to walk in their shoes. Rather, it means to walk with them, to walk the extra mile. And I can attest that Cathy walked many, many miles. For me, that fact epitomizes Cathy's legacy. And I am forever impressed by her. And I am forever grateful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eric Maroney. I was one of the many beneficiaries of the Cathy Sachs Fund for Aspiring Davis Musicians. Jackson and I have played a lot of concerts over the years, and Cathy attended every single one. But I would never forget the first one where we'd put out a record. We were selling it, and Cathy came up to me after the concert and just gave me $50 in cash. And I was like, Cathy, we're selling it for $5. It's worth about $1. I'm not going to take this. And she was like, no. And I was like, no, we're not going to take it. Thank you, though. Took 5. And then my mom comes to me later at the end of the whole night. And she goes like, you guys broke even. Like, how is that possible? And she said, Cathy gave you guys a $200 check. She went right to my mom. And I was like, that's not how capitalism works. And it was a really meaningful, kind of inspiring moment for someone to kind of believe in you. And she said, I'm looking forward. I'm buying all the future ones. So I actually still have it. First one I got, and she said, toward your CD, I want 20 copies. And it was a really meaningful moment. And when I think going into the future, I would like to be inspiring like she was to that next generation, supporting kids who weren't even her own and coming to all those concerts, and kind of being a support system inspiration for that next generation. So thank you.
Cold is the water, it freezes your already cold mind, already cold, cold mind. Death is at your doorstep, and it will steal your innocence, but it will not steal your substance. You are not alone in this. You are not alone in this. As brothers we will stand and will hold your hand. Hold your hand. And you are the mother of your baby child, the one to whom you gave life. And you have your choices, and these are what make man great, his ladder to the stars. But you are not alone in this. You are not alone in this. As brothers we will stand and we'll hold your hand. Hold your hand. Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road. Although this weight is stringing us along, just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, you'll all be quick. Don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. The trouble, it might drag you down. If you get lost, you can always be found. Just know you're not alone. It's gonna make this place your home.
So thank you all for coming today to celebrate my mom, Cathy's life. First, I would like to thank all those that made today possible, the UCC staff, the audiovisual technicians showing this live, and Randy, who led us in song. Thank you to the bands who played earlier, whom my mother always loved and supported, and to see that they came, and those that sent wonderful photos that you have with my mom and the memories you shared. I'd like to thank a couple people personally, including Mary Nicholson, Jane Eady, Steve Reimer, Susan Cosio, Debbie Austin, and Selena Lane for working diligently to organize this celebration and allowed us to be here to remember how great a person my mom was. Most of all, I'd like to thank you who are here today and online for being wonderful friends to my mother and to our family. I continue to hear stories of how when she was with you, you felt like her best friend, and truly, you're not wrong. She had every day of the week planned with her friends, and I know she enjoyed every single moment. She took every opportunity possible to be social and at sporting events, exercising at Fit House, traveling to Park City, Utah for a full day of movies with her friends. And we love hearing those stories repeated and are grateful to have you as our friends to tell them. Now, Trey and I couldn't have been luckier to have our mom. A common theme you'll hear throughout today is just how hard she worked to ensure that others succeeded. When it came to Trey and I, she was there to take us to and from our Spanish elementary school every day and then to our sporting events, which we were always doing. I never enjoyed being forced to learn Spanish, but as I got older, she always encouraged me to use it. So she was really happy when I got Miami and residency spot where I'd have to use it daily. She lived in a house with 3 guys, and we could be pretty useless a good amount of the time. My dad loves telling the story of Trey at a water polo match where we'd be at tournaments for the weekend, and we'd walk up on the middle of a summer game wearing a down jacket, carrying 3 hanging water bottles and a backpack full of snacks, and a folder of MapQuest maps before the cell phone. Well, I've heard many of you tell similar stories of how prepared and organized she was. We do deserve some of the credit, just how reliant we were on her. And that wouldn't change anytime soon. She always had more than just the whole family to help. She tried to stay close to the neighborhood center, the church, and be an active participant. As we grew up and became only slightly more self-sufficient, she channeled more and more of her attention into wanting to help others. She returned to school for a master's in marriage and family counseling and became even more active in the female youth groups here at UCC, even going on many of the mission trips. As I went to college, we would still talk frequently. It would be finals week, studying in the library, and I would get a call. Super important. I'm trying to plan the family vacation for next year. Where should we go? So I taught her about texting. But I did talk to her frequently because I relied on her so much. And undoubtedly, I could not have made it to med school without her, while the essay writing was a large part of it, it only gets you to the interview, where your personality is on display. People always said, "You're so much like your mom." I think they meant the hair or the eyes. But traits I would have taken would be her contagious smile, her optimistic attitude, and never-ending joy with friends. After Trey passed away, she took an incredibly difficult moment and channeled her energy and support into building the Trey Monahan Memorial Fund, which she was able to make possible within a year after his passing. Every year, as many of you know, she put on a special get-together for Trey's birthday in the winter, and she always looked forward to. Much of it were the stories people would tell about Trey, but it was also a time to catch up with people back in Davis for the holidays. She loved hearing family updates, and large and small, and she would try her best to remember all the details. After living in Davis for a year after college, I was flung to Hawaii for medical school. I tried to call every week. We would talk about sports, TV shows, movies, politics, and then Kevin and I would talk about medicine for about another hour or so. She would stay on the phone, listening, curious, trying to learn. She didn't like that part of the conversation as much. But after listening to these conversations for about 4 years, my mom and dad decided to open up their own family practice. My mom did the financials, the paperwork, working with the insurance companies, the front desk, and my dad saw patients. While I visited them back at school, it was amazing how good she was at her job. She was so natural, so kind, so eager to help. She had once again taken on a new challenge, and it was through her hard work that we were able to continue it today. All the programs she had invested in, the Neighborhood Center, the Trey Monahan Memorial Fund, programs ran by the Davis School District, and even my own accomplishments of med school and residency can be directly traced back to her influence. For today's celebration, I put together a slideshow that will show some of the finest moments where she is celebrating the accomplishment of herself and others, moments that were only conceived because of her will, energy, and determination, moments built from tragedy, and finally some emotions which continue to endure since her passing that can only be built from the memories of knowing someone over the years as special as her. My mom loved community and tried to build it wherever she went. Many of you made new friends over this last year because of her life, and that would make her happy seeing the lifetime of friendships develop into the community that is gathered here today. So, thank you.
My name is Susan Cosio, and I'm a longtime friend of Cathy's from here at UCC. I'm also a covenant pastor and a hospital chaplain in Sacramento. So as many of you know, I had the honor of being Cathy's chaplain in the last week of her life. I could get into the hospital because I worked there when I knew a lot of you wanted to be there but couldn't because of COVID restrictions. But I want you to know that I sat at her bedside for you. I talked and I prayed, I read scripture, I shared memories, I gave her updates from everyone, even though I knew that Cathy couldn't respond. I did read all your cards and letters to her. I gave her the hugs you asked me to deliver. And I played the songs that some of you had recorded and asked me to play. I put a red paper heart in the window of her ICU room so that those who gathered in the parking lot of the hospital could look up and see which room she was in, because I knew she would want you to know where she was. And I told the doctors and the nurses how wonderful a person she was, but they said they already knew. They could tell. One night I came into her room and the nurse was lovingly braiding Cathy's long, dark hair. That week that she was at the hospital highlighted for me something I already knew about Cathy, but it was inspiring and encouraging to be reminded that Cathy was a life and a heart full of love. Love for her family, love for her friends, love for the friends of Cody and Trey, and for other youth and young people, love for her neighbors and for her community, love for God, out of which flowed her love for others. I thought it was interesting that I noticed that Cathy sometimes struggled with whether or not her life was making a difference. She sometimes talked about whether or not she was using her degrees and her gifts and her time as well as she might. It was clear to me, as it probably was to all of you, that Cathy's life was very well lived. Because I've come to know that the impact of a person's life is really how much they loved and how much they were loved. So Cathy's life was full of impact because it was full of love. And the fact that we're all gathered here today in the middle of a pandemic, still missing Cathy, still wishing she was here with us, still remembering her, is testimony to that love. I've heard it said that grief is just love with no place to go. So today is about giving our grief and our love for Cathy a place to go. I know that a number of you have prepared reflections that you'd like to share, and we're going to take time to do that now. I will invite you to come up to the mic. I know that can be intimidating, but we really want to hear what you have to say to honor Cathy. And I'll invite you to come up, and we'll just kind of form a line on the stairs, and then let each person talk, one person at a time. In order to allow as many people as possible to share, I would ask that you try to stick to about 2 minutes. We're not going to be holding a clock, but we would encourage that. And I do want to say that it's okay if you get choked up. It's okay if you cry. Okay, the Kleenex is here. It's okay if you make us cry. It's also okay if you make us laugh, because it's all part of remembering a really special person. And our stories and our memories help keep Cathy alive in all of our hearts. So I would just encourage you now to come on up if you have something you'd like to share. If you need a few minutes to collect your courage, that's okay. The line will continue to form. And I'll be nearby if you need somebody to read what you can't get through.
Good morning. My name is Debbie Austin, and yes, I am one of the many, many people who considered Cathy a best friend. We met when Trey and my son Matthew were in kindergarten. Trey, Matthew, and Wyndham May were like the three musketeers. So Cathy, Wyndham's mom Jennifer, and I became fast friends. Then all three of those boys ended up on numerous soccer teams together, so we all spent a lot of time on the sidelines, and our friendship grew strong. Around 2002, Cathy and my husband Kurt and I all joined University Covenant Church. We have worshiped together hundreds of times in this room, and Cathy's faith was beautiful and inspiring. There was nothing better than standing next to Cathy during a worship song. Her eyes were closed, her arms in the air, swaying and singing. She would have loved to have seen all of you do that. The thing that I loved best about Cathy, though, is that her heart was always with the kids. Any kids. Her kids, your kids, my kids. She always said yes to kids. If you've ever been at any event with her, you know that she is any kid's biggest cheerleader. She was the best clapper, cheerer, and woo, 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 wooer out there. In 2005, when my husband Kurt was coaching AYSO soccer, he really needed an assistant coach because AYSO is all volunteers. And no one was stepping forward, so he asked Cathy, and she said yes. A lot of you probably didn't realize that Cathy was a soccer coach. She didn't know a lot, actually, anything about coaching soccer, but she did it for the kids. The Orange Oranges, that was their team name, got an extra special coach that year. When UCC was looking for youth group leaders, Cathy said yes. She committed to weekly small group and large group meetings where she touched the lives of numerous girls as their small group leader and blessed the entire youth group, like Cody mentioned, on mission trips, etc. And Cathy always said yes to supporting not only my own sons who are musicians, but any young person she knew who was in a band, as you could tell from what Eric mentioned. Anyone on the band, in a stage on a play, or otherwise performing. She would invite me to numerous DHS or other community plays, concerts, and musicals. If there was a way to support a kid, Cathy said yes. Her energy and enthusiasm were endless, and she was not one to sit around for very long. I'm sure many of you remember her planner that she would keep in her purse, writing everything down. She would keep track of all of her meetings and lunches and obligations, and she was a woman on the go. And Cathy said yes to eating out and being entertained. We went to lots of plays, musicals, and concerts, but no one knew movies like Cathy knew movies. Do you remember the Tuesday night cheap movies here in Davis? That was one of Cathy's favorite things to do. And of course, one of the highlights of her year was attending the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah every year, where she was capable of watching 3 or 4 or 5 movies in a day. And do you remember Movie Pass, that pass with a monthly or yearly fee that let you go to unlimited movies? I think Cathy and Kurt put them out of business. I think that's why they went out of business. I'm guessing that the two of them each saw 100 movies that year. And then we would meet at Taqueria Davis every Friday night and catch up and talk about movies. And meeting at Taqueria Davis became a Friday night tradition. Sometimes it was just me, Kurt, and Cathy. Sometimes other friends joined. But every Friday we were there, right up until the pandemic hit. And now every Friday, when I pick up my Taqueria to go, I look around and I'm reminded of the hours that Cathy spent with us there. That is always the best part of my week. I'm thankful for the infusion of enthusiasm, joy, and love that Cathy brought to my life. I'm thankful that Cathy always said yes. Watching her love and support others taught me the value of loving and supporting others. And to quote a song lyric from the Broadway musical Wicked, "So much of me is made up of what I learned from you. You will be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now, whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. And who's to say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I've been changed for good." Love you, Cathy.
To briefly introduce myself, my name is Kaveh Tufan. I was a friend of Cathy's, and I also would just like to thank the Moynihan family and their friends for organizing today. The inception of human connection has an infinite amount of possibilities. And when somebody describes how they met someone else, usually in our privileged lives, that story entails a cheerful beginning. But stories are curiously multifaceted. My friendship with Cathy began shortly after we all shared this exact room 7 years ago. Born out of tragedy, we incessantly turned to one another in desperate efforts to find comfort. With an aching soul of her own, Cathy still courageously acted as a guardian of hope for me, shepherding my mournful thoughts into a larger narrative full of boundless love. And it was during those countless hours of exchanged memories and tears in which our friendship blossomed into something entirely more vibrant. With nothing but total vulnerability as our instrument for connection, I had the heartfelt chance to get to know Cathy Joyce Sachs. Unquestionably, the most meritable characteristic of Cathy's was in her devotion to love all. Devoid of any marker of identity, Cathy bestowed upon others the greatest single gift a person could offer: the ability to feel seen, the ability to feel heard, the ability to assure you that you fostered value. In her presence, it was humbling to be a witness of her craft, a master of people. Outside of my own interactions, I observed that Cathy distinctively understood that every person on this earth carries with them a sacred story, one that depicts our lives in its most intimately emotional form. And with the most beautiful talent to disarm her audience, it felt almost impossible to not want to share yours. And so she listened, and she listened to all of us. A collector of stories, a keeper of our souls. With this doctrine in celebrating others, I knew that this angel of a woman is what Cathy believed to be the only acceptable way to treat others in her life. This was her definition of community. And with community comes a deep level of responsibility. It is impossible in any way, shape, or form to separate Cathy's identity to her ardent allegiance to racial and social justice. Intertwined entirely, it's difficult for me to think of a single instance in which my time with her somehow didn't encompass her thoughts on the issue. And Cathy certainly paid her dues to the cause. With her work abroad in Australia and at home in Oakland, she delivered her empathy to the vulnerable, rejecting the world's complicit temperament and upholding a climate of emotional poverty. In loss, we must find purpose, and I find a sincere level of comfort in knowing how we may all best honor Cathy's life. The fight for civil rights does not end with a single administration nor a political movement. It is a generational issue, and Cathy has passed the baton to us. And when that day eventually comes, where every person is met with the full level of grace and integrity in which they so inherently deserve, we can thank Cathy for being one of the millions of anonymous faces who carried us across the finish line. May we be her champions in delivering that vision. To the Moynahans, just know that we are here for you. The same way we showed up 7 years ago, you do not walk this journey alone. To Cathy, my second mother, be at peace. Be at peace in the way in which you so grandly deserve since the day we became friends. Take with you all your love that you so undeservingly taught us how to create. And to those in this room, may we continue to find each other in our own stories, forging a more harmonious shared destiny which Cathy would be a proud witness to. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jane Eady, and I was a friend of Cathy's as well. 26 years ago, we had the beautiful good fortune of meeting two very special families, the Worleys and the Sachs Monahans. My husband John and I had just moved to Davis from Canada, leaving behind our friends and family. But in that moment, we found a new family. For the next 25 years, Cathy was by our side for every major milestone in the Eady family's lives. We shared our joys and our sorrows. We raised our children together. And for all that Cathy meant to us personally, it was her unconditional love and support of our girls that was truly special. Cathy was their role model, their confidant, their champion, and their friend. She was their mommy, Cathy. So in that spirit, I want to read something from our oldest daughter, Selena, who can't be here today. It's almost impossible to know where to start, how to find the right words and the right expressions to describe how much Cathy meant to me and how special I considered our relationship. But that was the wonderful thing about Cathy, wasn't it? I imagine that everyone here at Cathy's celebration of life, whether physically present in this church or joining from afar like me, feels similarly, that you also had a unique relationship with Cathy. And the truth is that yes, we all did, because this was one of Cathy's beautiful, powerful gifts. She made real and deep connections with many people in her life, and she treated each one of us with care and commitment and respect. Cathy never left you doubting the status of her love for you. She showed it in a million ways all of the time. And what a joy it was to experience the gift of being loved by Cathy. As to my special relationship, my name is Selena Eady Dillon, and I'm the daughter of one of Cathy's closest friends, Jane Eady. Yes, that's right, at least two Selenas here today deeply loved Cathy. And I'm sure there are many other Selenas across the country unaccounted for who also loved Cathy. And to them I say, get in line. My family met Cathy, Kevin, and Cody, and Trey when we first moved to Davis in 1995, fresh off the maple syrup truck from Ontario, Canada, and thousands of miles far away from our family. Lucky for us, we found our chosen family in the Worleys and the Sachs Monahans, and especially in Cathy, or to us Eady girls, forever Mommy Cathy. I was older than the rest of the kiddos in our surrogate family, and from the very onset of our relationship, when I was just 8, awkward with braces and headgear, Cathy treated me like a person, not just another kid. She listened to me, asked me questions about my life, and respected my opinions. As I clumsily transitioned to adulthood, Cathy served as a role model for me. I was pursuing an education and career in education policy, and Cathy's work with youth in Oakland and her deep passion for social justice inspired me to challenge myself to do more to help others and demand more from our society. And as I settled into my 30s, Cathy became a trusted friend, someone who I could laugh with while wine tasting, text about Bernie and the social change we wanted to see, and introduced to my future husband as a person whose approval he absolutely needed. Spoiler, he got it. Cathy helped plan my bridal shower. She visited us many times in San Diego. She was a fixture at our Christmas celebrations. Cathy would be there in a heartbeat if we needed her. Because, as I said, Cathy didn't just keep her love inside. She lived her life showing her love through her words and actions. There are so many things I admire about Cathy. Her down-for-anything attitude, her mischievous spirit and wit, but this gift that she showed me, how to show care in your relationships, how to make sure that those you love know you love them. This is a lesson that I come back to every day. As I write this, I'm looking down at my 6-day-old newborn son and thinking about how much I love him, how I love him so much that my heart hurts, and how I want to make sure that I always show him that, how I want to live my life modeling and communicating love like Cathy did. To Mommy Cathy, I miss you more than words in any language could ever express. There is a hole in my heart, and it's undeniable that the world suffers deeply without you in it. And I cannot thank you enough for how you taught me to show commitment and love in all of my relationships. I promise to do this for the rest of my life. I love you. I love you too, Cathy.
Good morning. I met Cathy first at a spin class 10 years ago at Fit House, and this was immediately stricken by this beautiful, thoughtful, kind woman. She showed up, she sat right in the middle, stared at me, and maybe it intimidated me slightly. But I thought, gosh, talk to her afterwards, so kind, so sweet. After about the 6th class, she decided that it was time for her to let me know the things that she would like to see different in my class. The music needed to get a little bit lower. She would appreciate that. Also, maybe provide earplugs, which we did. And then there was those of you that have joined in my spin class before, I don't love fans, I like heat. And that was not okay with Cathy at all. And so she would say, okay, Jen, you have 3 songs. By the 3rd song, you need to have that fan turned on. Like, okay, and yet I did. I'm supposed to be in charge, but no. Okay, I'll do that. And God forbid I forgot, because she'd be back there like this, pointing at the fan. Okay, sorry. One thing that I didn't know that Cathy was going to do was to teach me one of the biggest lessons and best lessons that anyone could have taught me, and that was the ability to come back, to show up in your most difficult times, and to receive, to allow yourself to be loved and supported. And I, after the passing of Trey, she showed up, she sent me a text and she said, I'm coming to spin tomorrow, and I'd like you to make a playlist. And these are some of the songs that I would like to have on the playlist. And again, she was very clear in telling me how to teach my class. And we did, and we came together, and you mentioned community and the community that she creates. I truly believe and know that Cathy is very much a reason that Fit House became the community that it is today. And I thank you all for sharing her with us. And Spin was never the same after she left us, but she's there in spirit. Fans still go. Music is played at the right level. So thank you all so much for allowing me to share that. Have a good day.
Good morning. I'm Marcy. I'm Peter. And Cathy, so inspiring. I had the true privilege of meeting and starting my friendship with Cathy years ago as our sons Max and Cody became best friends at about age 4. Cathy quickly embraced our son generously with her abundant love, supporting him and welcoming him into their family, as always. And after many play dates, soccer practices, and games, Max subsequently joined Cody and others into the water polo club and junior high. And because Mary is a little bit convincing, as you may know, I am honored to share some sentiments from the water polo moms and dads and many families. These remembrances celebrate the joy and values and faith that Cathy contributed to our communities. Beth Katzaris and Mary Nicholson recalled that Cathy lived very seriously leading the charge, wearing her blue gear for the games to support the teams down to earrings and fingernail polish. Yes. As a new member to the water polo family, Beatrice Leal described the first day she met Cathy. I vividly remember Cathy placing her chair next to mine and starting to welcome us, our family. To my surprise, she already knew and had spoken to our eldest son, Augusto. That was the first of many times I experienced Cathy's numerous talents, her ability to warmly welcome others, to always be inclusive, and to genuinely care about each player and each family, which still impresses me to this day. Cathy's generosity extended well beyond the water polo community. Her passionate involvement and contributions were far-reaching, and they always had an element of justice, we've heard throughout the morning. Wendy Allen echoed similar themes and included, the funny thing about Cathy is that when speaking one-on-one with her, her voice was gentle and soft, her demeanor really calm. But when she cheered from the stands, no one could miss that big Cathy booming voice. She was such a kind and thoughtful person, and our world is a better place because Cathy was part of our lives. After speaking with so many about Cathy, this overriding message shared by Beatrice rings true. I feel very privileged to have experienced firsthand so many of Cathy's special gifts. But the one that I treasure the most, we've heard all morning, is her magical way of making each one of us feel that we were her best friend.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark, and like many of you have already said, Cathy was the type of person who made everyone feel like the most special person in the room. She would remember everything about you and was the most engaging person to talk to. She was always extremely generous and could see the goodness in everyone. I've always felt really lucky to have met and been surrounded by a person who truly lived life to the fullest. And I remember growing up, Cathy would invite my family and I to travel with her. And on those trips, I always was surprised how adventurous Cathy was. And compared to Kevin, Cody, and Trey, Cathy would always be really stoked on trying new restaurants, Meanwhile, Kevin, Cody, and Trey would just want cheeseburger in paradise. Sometimes they would give in and we'd try new things, which was cool. But reflecting back on all the adventures, I'm especially inspired by the bravery she and Kevin had to take their two naughty boys to Half Dome, and I saw a picture. Well, there's a picture there too, but that was always really impressive to me. And from an early age, Cathy was an integral part of my life, and I will continue to miss her every day and mourn the love that she still had left to give to the world. Thank you all for sharing your beautiful stories with us today, and I look forward to hearing the rest of them.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leanna, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Cody's fiance, and this is my mother, Tiffany. So when I met Cathy, Cody and I had just first started dating, and I was really nervous because I was meeting his parents for the first time. I had no cause to be nervous because Cathy welcomed me with open arms, and she wanted to know everything about my life, my family, school, basically everything, and she would listen to me when I talked her ear off about sea lions and sea otters and all the things that I had been doing beforehand, and she just listened with the most intense focus, and it just made you feel so important and special, and she just had a way about her that made you feel like you were the best person and the most important person in her world and in the world in general. And I loved that she loved planning because I love planning. And therefore, fast forward 5 years when we all went on the trip to Florida together and we went to Disney World and the Everglades in Miami, her and I had a grand old time creating a PowerPoint with a very detailed schedule and all the flights and where everyone was sitting. And when we got there, you know, it's hot. It's Florida. It's hot. It's humid. She's still carrying that down puffy jacket. And you know what? She was right, because inside buildings, it's freezing in Florida because they keep the temperature at like 65. You go outside, it's 90 degrees. You come inside, it's 60. So she was totally right. But her endurance on that trip was amazing. My mom and I tapped out after 3 days because we just could not keep up with her. It was amazing. But the thing I miss about most about Cathy is how empathetic she was and how much she taught me about being a good person and a strong woman. And I am missing her a lot in these next couple of years and months as Cody and I plan our wedding. And I really wish that she could be here with us, and I miss her and I love her.
So I met Cathy probably about 6 months or so after Leanna and Cody started dating. And by the time I met her, I'd already heard things from Leanna about, how, she was always wanting to plan things and do things with Leanna and Cody. And so we were always, kind of going back and forth of whose time we were going to get. And so by the time I met her, between that and her liking to keep mementos of things, I love to keep mementos. They accuse me of being a hoarder. And so I knew we kind of had a lot of those things in common. But after getting to know her more, I realized she was just so much better of a person than I am. But knowing her has, I think, made me definitely a better person. And when I do things, I think about, what would Cathy do in this situation? And I know what to do. And it's nice with Kevin and Cody and Betty. When situations come up, I know what to do because I just think I can just, say, oh, I know what Cathy would say. And it's been pretty helpful. But I'm really grateful that we started spending Christmas together the last 4 years. And that was I'm so grateful that we did that. And it was fun. And we got to spend a lot of time, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And I'm glad I have those memories and lots of pictures. And I will definitely keep her memory alive for their children and make sure that they get to know her through us. I think that's all I have to say.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah Eady, and I met Cathy when my family moved from Canada when I was just 4 years old. From the moment I met her, Cathy was a shoulder for me to lean on. She was a friend for me to talk to. She gave the best advice, never judgmental. She was always curious about what was going on in my life, my goals, my accomplishments, and she loved being there to celebrate life's big moments, life's milestones. And one memory I have that's especially just unbelievable of Cathy, I became a citizen in 2016. Cathy drove through the night, 8 hours from Davis to Los Angeles to attend a 30-minute ceremony and a 2-hour lunch. And then she immediately got in her car and went back. That's just the kind of person she was. She made me feel like I could take on the world. She made every single person in her life feel so special. And she loved with her whole heart. And because she loved so fully, she made it so easy for me to love her with my full heart. And I just miss her and love her so much.
Hi, I'm Catherine Eady. I'm the final Eady girl. Cathy has always been Mommy Cathy to me. That's practically how she was introduced. And Mommy Cathy has always been our family. With our families being so close, I grew up with the privilege of having Cathy frequently as a caretaker, and she quickly became one of the people I knew I would be able to rely on my whole life. As a kid, she was one of the first people to treat me as simply a person and not a child. She would take me seriously, answer any of my questions, and listen intently. She took the time to explain things, and she didn't simplify things just because we were young. As an awkward teenager, she became one of the few adults that was a safe place, that I didn't have anxiety trying to talk to at family events. I never had to perform any version of myself. I could come to Cathy exactly as I was. And best of all, Cathy saw me as I was, and she just got me. There's no other way to put it. I know she saw straight into my soul. When I think of Cathy now, I think of her big smile that could light up the whole room, and her unbeatable hugs that somehow could transfer love itself. I miss those hugs. The last time I saw Cathy was the date of the Super Bowl in 2020. We had all gone to watch it at our house in Davis, and I was leaving for the Bay on a train after the game. In true Cathy form, she insisted on giving me a ride to the train station and changed her plans to help me out. We got to the train station quite early, no surprise, and I sat in her car talking with her about everything from politics to the existential. Suddenly, I looked at the time, and it had gotten late, and I actually had to rush to the train. But she was just the kind of person that you could talk to forever. She was the kind of person that you knew was always in your corner. Something that brings me comfort is that from a scientific perspective, energy never dies. It cannot die. So Cathy has never stopped existing, and she never will. She has changed form, but she still is. So I want to say to you now, Cathy, I love you. I miss you so, so much. And I feel your love with me everywhere I go. Thanks.
Hello, hi, my name's Renee Worley. I'm the fourth Edie sister, but I didn't write anything on my phone. I'm very unprepared. It's typical of our family, but I know that if Cathy was here, she'd be elbowing me and being like, go up and say something. So I have to do this. But I just want to say that, along with the Edies and the Moynahans, I can't remember a time in my life during my childhood where Cathy was not there. It was kind of like from the time that I became a conscious human being, it was the Moynahans, the Edies, and all of us just kind of growing up together. Our parents, in the other room drinking wine, and all of us kids just kind of like plotting or spying on them or doing something, getting into mischief. But I just remember, every time we'd go to the Moynahans' house or being around Cathy, it was like, no matter what we got into, what we were doing, whether we were in trouble or we were doing something right, Cathy was just so kind and patient and loving. It was like you could feel her warmth. And even as a child where you're kind of like anxious around adults that you don't really know or just strangers, it was like you never felt that from Cathy, even from the time I was like, 4, 5, however old I was. And I just wanted to say that, Cathy was really special in that she always knew exactly what to say. and exactly where to be, no matter what the situation was, whether it was a happy celebration or, you know, something sad. The last time I saw Cathy was, I believe, February 2020, which was my grandfather's memorial service. And Cathy showed up. She picked me up because my mom was at my grandfather's house. Cathy picked me up, and then she drove me to See's Candy to go buy my grandfather's favorite candy, which she remembered. And I still don't even know the exact name of it, but Cathy knew exactly the kind of candy that my grandfather always had at his house. And then she took me to Trader Joe's to buy flowers, and I couldn't decide between the two. And she was like, you know what, let's just get both of them. Let's just get two. So we got two flowers and candy, and she drove me to my grandfather's house with my grandmother. And she stayed, and she was always just present, kind of this comforting presence. And it's almost like she could read your mind and know exactly what it was that you needed to hear right in that moment. And I just wanted to say that, you know, I just so much of the way that I think about loving other people, and so many of my best qualities, I would say, about myself, I learned from modeling my behavior after Cathy. And I just want to say that I love her very much, and we all miss her and love her, and she's just a true angel on earth. So thank you so much.
Sorry, I need glasses to see my notes here. My name's Jenny Perkins, and I have the honor of meeting Cathy at Westmont. We were transfer students back in 1979, and we met in a sociology class. And I want to talk about, I share everyone's sentiments about what a wonderful woman, compassionate person, but she was also one of the funnest friends and people around, and some of you have alluded to that as well. But it kind of started, I think, when we became members of the water ski team at Westmont, which I think we went to one event, but she and I were out there, and we were, I think maybe we got around one buoy, and that was it. But another thing, I haven't heard anyone mention this, and I don't know if any of her high school friends are here, but her nickname at Westmont was Bags, Cathy Sachs Bags. And somehow that was just, we called her Bags. And she didn't seem to mind that, but that was her nickname. So another thing, Steve, talked a lot about the community, which was wonderful, but didn't mention the fact that on some weekends they would clear out all of the furniture so that we could have dance parties and dance from one side of the flat over to the other. We'd have Billie Jean going or whatever at the time, and Cathy was always the one to kind of get it going and the last one standing, dancing. After we both got married, had kids, we would find ways to get together. We'd meet in Vacaville, kind of halfway between our homes, and have lunch. And I always loved hearing about her high school friends, current new friends in Davis, and we would just get caught up. We'd talk nonstop for however long we could stay. I started an annual Academy Awards party for women only at my home. I don't know how many years ago. Sadly, Jane, you never got there, but Cathy would say that was one of her favorite things to do. She looked forward to it all year. And I looked forward to having her there because no matter where we were, Cathy would be there. And similarly to so many here, she loved my daughters. I have two daughters. And she was very much my daughter's favorite. I mean, Cathy was her favorite. She was their favorite friend of mine because she took time to talk with them and to love them and to be a second mom. Had the honor of attending Sundance with Cathy a couple of years. Got to go to Hawaii with Kevin and Cathy. That was such a joy. We stayed up playing Mexican canasta, which Betty taught us. Just fun times and games. And, in the midst of all that fun, though, Cathy was for me as well, just a really one of my most cherished friends, that I knew I could tell her anything in the world, good, bad, and different, and she would not judge me. She would just love and listen, and sometimes, offer advice, which I appreciated. So often we're never supposed to give advice, but Cathy would give her point of view. Lastly, I just want to say Cathy was my friend that I could count on. If I wanted to go somewhere, whether it was a Westmont reunion or whatever, if I called her up, she would do whatever she could to get there. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of pissed because I retired. Cathy started working full time. It's like, what's up with that? I want to go travel, and you got to work full time. So anyway, and Kevin and Cody, just thank you for sharing Cathy with all of us, because she has been was such a wonderful, positive force in all of our lives. So thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Selena, in true community, was gracious enough to share some of the hundreds of cards dear Cathy has sent her. Today, I have the honor to share with you all some of Cathy's own words, her words as a guide, motivator, mother figure, and a very best friend. On a day none of us can even believe, her own words remind us of the deepness of her heart and her unwavering commitment to creating community and a more just and loving world. I present to you the Gospel according to Cathy, chapters from Selena's life, verses chosen by me. I must say, you mean more to me than you'll ever know. I appreciate so much your friendship and love. It sustains me in my most difficult and best times. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, God has blessed me with your friendship and gifted you with an amazing heart of generosity, service, and passion to help all those you meet. I believe God has used you to love children all over the world, and they are changed by knowing you. Cathy continues, there will be tears today. I have so many mixed emotions. I continue to be so excited and happy for your adventure. I'm so sure it is right for you. I believe in you and your work. I know you are changing lives. Yet, I am so sad for my loss because I miss you so much. I'll long for the days when we'll be together again. But don't forget, I am always with you in spirit. I always crave to connect with you and know how you're doing and share what's happening with me. I need you in my life, always. So just keep stepping forward, one step, one moment at a time, and trust God to meet all your needs. I pray that God's peace and presence will powerfully overwhelm you, and you will find comfort there. And so we remember Cathy and all that she lived for and how she led by example. We miss you, and we follow you forever.
And I know there are sprinkles of our Oakland community here today. And I just want to say that, like, Steve and Cathy are parents to hundreds of darker community members in a very toxic but very loving and really tenacious community of West Oakland. There's a part of that community that we would never have been able to unearth without Steve and Cathy kind of birthing it. Like, you guys gave us this secret ingredients. Like, we didn't know that they exist before you guys came in. And in addition to thinking they were just white people and police officers, we also couldn't quite trust them because people would show up and then leave, or they'd come in and want to take a photo op, and then, that was it. We wouldn't even know the ending of the story. But here we are 32 years later, and the language and the love is so ingrained. It's creating those ripple effects in so many other spaces. And so I often say the reason you all know her as such a dynamic and amazing Davis community member is because we totally gave her every possible obstacle in Oakland to go through. She had tons of other children who were not as obedient and attentive as Cody and Trey. And so Monahan was also just a huge part of how we learned to not just be really on top of, like, it's either this or that. There was no comfortable medium. It was about really understanding if you don't decide now that you have to be an active participant in society, you will perish. So I'm so grateful. I know I'm only standing here today because of Steve and Cathy and all of the Oakland community members. Diane is here. They taught us Toastmasters. I don't know if you all know that. It wasn't a thing in Black community in Oakland, but we ended up learning how to use the soup spoon versus the salad fork. It was just crazy, like shit like, excuse me, we're in the church. So, but like that kind of stuff was not a part of our trajectory. It was never expected of us to come out of that gutter of West Oakland and have any kind of say or presence or contribution to the world. And Cathy and Steve made sure we defied those odds. So I'm just so grateful. Some of those readings are from when I was in the Peace Corps. When I first I was stuck in a village with no electricity or running water for 2.5 years. But then there was going to my first trip to Costa Rica, where I'm building a church and creating a village. When I go back home, my grandmother doesn't have money to pay PG&E, but those things were ignited because they told us we could, and that won't ever, ever go away. So I'm just so grateful. And Monahan, you get on my nerves sometimes, but it's only because you have been so hardcore about telling us that you don't settle. I remember saying I wanted to be a teacher. He was like, what? Like, why would you want to be a teacher? They're poor. Like, step your game up. And to this day, I still am a little bit of a weirdo because I run a shelter for homeless families. But because of Monahan's responsibility to tell me that I'm entitled to do more, to elevate, to make sure my next generation is more sustained after myself, I knew that I had to plant some seeds. So I stand here as like a very determined, active taxpayer, legitimate, like adult, and someone who really supports and makes sure that the community, not just me and my family, but my community is better because of the values that I believe in. So I just thank you guys, and I know that Cody is, oh, Leanna, I just am so excited, and I love that your mom mentioned babies, so I'm excited for what's next. Thank you, guys.
Hi, I'm Mo Mortazavi, friend of the family, and I just wanted to share a simple story that I was thinking about a couple of weeks ago, and I thought if I had the opportunity, I would share it because I thought it was a good story to just kind of hit me when I was thinking about Cathy and her family. So 20-some years ago when I was, a young kid at UC Davis, just starting there, I was lucky enough to get a work-study job at an elementary school, Cesar Chavez Elementary School, and, as a tutor. And I'd go outside sometimes and I'd play ball with the kids. There's this little kid that kept running up to me with this big smile on his face and kept wanting to talk to me and asking me about me and asking me questions about what I study. And he was like maybe 7 at the time, but talking, bigger than I could talk. And that was Cody. And it was, he was a special kid, and he had this amazing, just amazing light that was very clear. And I got to know him over the next couple of years. And his little shy brother came along at some point, Trey, and I got to know him very well too. And one day, and Cody and I, we were in the same class, and I tutored him. And, at one point we were like attached at the hip, always together for that year in particular. And one day, Cody came out to the yard and he gave me something. He had something in his hand. He gave it to me. And I remember I grabbed it and I was like, I wonder what this is. You know, it was an envelope. And when I went home, I looked at it and he had invited me to his birthday party. And he was, I think, 10 or something at the time. And I just, you know, I remember thinking, my first thought was, you know, this is very sweet. But of course, I didn't know his family and stuff, so I was like, it's kind of awkward. You know, I'm not going to show up at a birthday party. You know, and thought about it a little bit more over the next couple of days because he'd given me some time. I think it was in a week or something. And I was like, well, but it's really not about me. And you know, it might make him happy. Obviously, probably talk to his parents and wanted to do this. So maybe I'll even make his day, you know. So I convinced myself to do something that was outside the box for me, particularly at that time. And it was the beginning of learning the lessons from Cathy and her family. And so, I went, and that was when I met Cathy, Kevin. I think Cody, your cousins, were there that day, and everybody was just open arms. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but, it was like, from that day on, it was every birthday party every year. It was every game. They were at my game. Really, I felt part of their family, and it didn't stop, whether it was the graduation for the kids or a couple of years ago when Cathy came all the way down to visit me in Tucson, Arizona, just to see my kids, or when Cody was down there when he was, getting ready for medical school, or when I came up and visited, and Kevin was helping me figure out. I ended up going in medicine myself. It helped me figure out, what that should look like, and the things he did to help me. Cathy making me breakfast in the morning and driving me to the airport and packing me a lunch. It was never ending. The level of acceptance, and and all those things, and the story goes on and on and on. But in the end, it all for me sort of went back to that one day. And for what I realized is, that day represented what Cathy was about and what her family's about. And I was a 19-year-old kid, didn't know my way, immigrant family, and to sort of have that kind of acceptance at that time was new to me. It wasn't that kind of being welcomed was not something I was used to, not in that way anyway. So it really shaped me, it formed me. Moving forward, I realized that this is a world that has a lot of love and acceptance in it, and that doesn't necessarily come naturally to all of us. So, and that came from Cathy, and she molded a lot of who I am, the rest of my life, to this day, everything, and you guys. Obviously it all started with you, Cody, but yeah, and I have, all the thanks in the world for that. And like Kaveh said, it's now on us to move that forward, pay that forward. And so thank you.
So very grateful and thankful to be here and celebrate Cathy's life with all of you. My name is Samuel Barnes, and there's rare moments in this life where somebody comes into your life and you feel the specialness and quality and character of this human being, and Cathy was that to me. Cathy and I met in the mid-1970s. Cathy was friends of mine at Maricopa High School. And Cathy, when I first met her, I caught her essence. I caught who she was. And I have not seen her since the late 1970s, but I'd heard about her quality of life indirectly through our friends that we shared. And now I get to see. I'm so grateful to be here to see this wonderful family, these friends, her spiritual community, all the works that she's done. Doesn't surprise me, but I'm so grateful to be here to share it with you all. Cathy and I had a moment with her friends on top of Fraser Mountain in the mid to late 70s. And her father was owned a camp there, or ran a camp there. And this camp, it was beautiful stars, it was amazing out. We were out watching the stars, doing what teenagers do, looking at the stars and celebrating life. And wisdom came from Cathy with every breath and word. And it inspired me and still inspires me today. And Cathy always left everybody better for themselves. Obviously, all of you have talked about it. After she left you, you felt better. You felt the overflow. You were connected to her and to the essence of who she is, that center of our being where love is everywhere present, overflowing. And I can only say that I'm just grateful to be here and to just share that she meant so much to all of us in our community down there. And she went off and she continued her work, and she obviously means so much to all of you too. And it reminds me of who she is in the moment. And it reminds me of some words that I'm going to leave you with. Peace is not a goal that we seek, but the way we arrive. Love is not a word that we speak, but a language on which we thrive. Love inspires me now like nothing else can. Peace enlightens me now, and here I will stand for one single breath of life, one single ray of light, one holy moment. Peace be still, Cathy.
Hi, my name is Nate Stinson, and I was a classmate of Trey's at Cesar Chavez Elementary growing up. And I think I just wanted to express the perspective of one of the kids in the community growing up. And just, I have nothing but gratitude for Cathy and her family, especially as someone who never was as close with the family as I would have liked to be. We were always a little bit outside of each other's circles, it felt like. But I was lucky enough to be a Cesar Chavez graduate, and so would still be included and invited always by Cathy to things. And I returned to Davis about 2 years ago, experiencing a form of what felt like unimaginable familial loss. And I remember just seeing Cathy around town during that time, and my body just kind of like orienting towards this shining beacon of light in the community. And just questioning how she could do it after experiencing the unimaginable loss of Trey. And being so intrigued and interested. And I remember getting to talk to her and still being invited to various events around town, and got to have this really unlikely and budding, what felt like friendship with her. And throughout that time, I think as the wisdom of her life continues to unfold in each of ours and ripple, I just wanted to make sure and share the wisdom that she gave to me throughout that time, which felt like, I remember asking myself, just what do you do when your heart breaks, and when your heart breaks so deep. And I just remember seeing in her that you let your heart break open to the world, and you cherish your connections all the more closely, and you laugh, more dearly, and you connect with those around you. And so I think I wanted to share that as in this time as we are taught this lesson by her right now of just letting our hearts break open to the world. So thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tammy, and these are my sisters, Gina and Tina, twins. We're the three amigos. We are also a part of Cathy's family. We were her kids before she even had kids and married. I think Selena said she's been around 32 years. So I think we have Selena beat. So I'm going to say about maybe 36, 37, maybe Steve. I don't know. I'm trying to think of it. But we've been around a very, very, very long time. I'll share this memory. So I think we were in elementary.
Junior high. Westlake?
I think you guys were in junior high. I was in elementary. I'm the baby.
Okay.
So there was a time where my mom had gotten in some trouble. So she had to turn herself in. And we stayed with them in Davis for maybe about 30 days. I think that Monahan had just started his residency in Davis. And so we were with him in Davis for about 30 days. Every day, she got up, she drove us to school and back. And we were in Oakland. Oakland. Okay, we're talking about Bay Area traffic. It probably is not as bad as it is now. But every day, she made sure we all got to school on time. For 30 days, she kept us. We were her kids. I think maybe Cody. I think maybe both the kids were born then. I'm thinking. I don't remember. I was a little young. I was in elementary school.
They wasn't born yet.
No, not yet.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I do remember the kids. I'm telling you, I've been around a very long time, so I remember before the kids, before the marriage. We're definitely a product of the gym, the neighborhood city. Cathy, Kevin, Monahan, Mary Jo, Susan, everybody's environment. And we are forever grateful. Grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Matt. I was really close friends with Trey growing up, going to Chavez. I related to what Renee said about Cathy nudging you, saying to come up here and say something. But I also had Trey on the other side being like, you don't have to, dude, don't do it. So that's why it took me so long to come up here. Yeah, tons of stories about Trey and Cathy. I don't know why this is the one that came to my mind, but we had to have been in maybe 4th or 5th grade, and Cathy would pick up me and Trey sometimes, and we'd go to their place before like soccer practice or something. And I had this leftover bag of peanuts from snack, and so I was like munching on them in the car, and Trey takes some and like nudges me, and he rolls the window down, and there's like people biking by. And start tossing peanuts out the window at the bikers. You know, it wasn't like we weren't throwing them. It was just kind of like little clink, you know. And Cathy noticed, and she's like, Trey, what are you doing? You know, freaking out. So we were like looking in the rearview mirror, like waiting for her to look away, and we'd like keep tossing them out. And Trey hit someone pretty good, and Cathy laughed. And it was just, it was crazy to me because she's not supposed to do that, like as a parent, kind of. And it was cool because she was, you know, obviously my friend's mom, but she was definitely a friend to me as well. So Thank you.
I think it's up to me to say there probably are a lot more stories, but we probably will draw this time of sharing to a close. What we're going to transition to now is what we're calling Moments from Cathy's life. It's a slideshow that was put together by Cody.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. And our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like a shoebox of photographs with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least, for most of the questions in my heart. Like, why we're here and where do we go, and knock on me so hard. It's not always easy and sometimes life can be deceiving. I'll tell you one thing, it's always better when we're together. It's always better when we're together. Yeah, we'll look at them stars and we're together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. And all of these moments just might find their way into my dreams tonight, but I know that they'll be gone when the morning light sings or brings new things. For tomorrow night you see that they'll be gone too. Too many things I have to do, but if all of these dreams might find their way into my day-to-day scene, I'd be under the impression I was somewhere in between, with only two, just me and you. Not so many things we got to do, or places we got to be. We'll sit beneath the mango tree now. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. We're somewhere in between together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. I believe in memories, they look so pretty when I sleep. Hey, now and when I wake up, you look so pretty sleeping next to me. But there is not enough time, and there is no song I could sing, and there is no combination of words I could say, but I will still tell you one thing, we're better together.
So thank you all for being here today. I have just some announcements to share with all of you. First of all, to just let you know that Kevin and Cody would invite you to spend some time at the reception afterwards out on the patio. There'll be light refreshments and Cathy's favorite sweet tea. We do ask that you would be aware of and observant of the COVID regulations, but also use this time to share more stories that you didn't have a chance to say up here. And also, there's a fabulous display of photos out there between the lobby and the patio. So take the chance to look around at all of those. The family requests that donations that you'd like to make in honor of Cathy and her legacy be made to the Samaritan Neighborhood Center in Oakland, which played such an important part in her life, as you know, and information on that center is printed in the program. Also want to let you know that a memorial bench in Cathy's honor will be installed in Central Park later this fall. The bench will be located in front of the flying carousel of the Delta Breeze, a special place for Cathy and Kevin and their sons when the boys were young. In 1914, Trey was remembered for his life-giving organ donations with the dedication of one of the hand-carved carousel animals in there. Finally, Kevin and Cody ask that you share a memory of Cathy or a message on the card that's enclosed in your program. And there are several boxes around where you can place those cards after you've had a chance to write your memory or your message to them. And Pastor Steve has some words of thanks.
Well, on behalf of Kevin and Cody and all the Sachs Monahan family, they thank you for being here, of course. And all I can say is you're an amazing group of people, but there is now one more task. We have to do what Cathy would have done, because this world needs a lot of love. And with her example, we can all do it. Thank you.
Let me just close us in prayer. God, we thank you for the life and the legacy of Cathy Sachs. Thank you for allowing us to receive her love. And thank you for giving us the gift of loving her. Thank you for the love that you gave to her that sustained her, even during periods of painful loss. And help us also to feel that love today. Help us to continue Cathy's legacy by loving others, whether or not they live life like us. May we always see everyone through your eyes the way that Cathy did. And may we be a reflection of Cathy's love and yours. Amen. Please join us for the reception out on the patio.
When you look at the world, what is it that you see? People find all kinds of things that bring them to their knees. I see an expression so clear and so true that it changes the atmosphere when you walk to the room. So I try to be like you, try to feel it like you do, but without you it's no use. I can't see what you see when I look at the world. When the night is someone else's and you're trying to get some sleep, when your thoughts are too expensive to ever wanna keep, when there's all kinds of chaos and everyone is walking late, you don't even blink, now do you? Or even look away. So I try to be like you, try to feel it like you do, show. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and a running, hey, hey, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog with our hearts a thumping.